international student is expected to file their tax return if they were in the USA in the previous calendar year and earned income. Even if you do not earn income in the previous calendar year, you will still need to file the Form 8843. Why tax filing might not be an exciting aspect of an international student's life in the USA. After all, tax returns for international students probably weren't high on your priority list when coming to the USA. However, the importance of completing these forms correctly cannot be underestimated. The way you handle your international student tax affairs will have a major impact on future green card and visa applications. I'll be addressing some questions regarding filing of taxes in the USA as an international student. I'll also discuss about other frequently asked questions. So guys, sit back, relax, and let's discuss about how to file your taxes correctly as an international student. My name is Esther. Welcome back to another episode on International Student Diary. Thank you for subscribing and smashing the like button. Let's get started. This video is sponsored by Sprintax, the official non-resident tax partner of TurboTax and a trusted name in tax preparations for international students. With Sprintax, you can file your taxes correctly, maximize your tax refund, and avoid future issues. If you need to renew your F1 visa, apply for H1B visa, or even apply for the green card. Let's get to addressing some of the questions regarding filing of taxes as an international student. The first question here, what type of income tax will I have to pay? International students on F1 visa who are considered non-resident aliens for tax purposes must file taxes in the USA on the following income, such as wages and compensations, salaries, tips, interest, scholarship and fellowship grants, dividends, prizes and awards. Yes, you have to pay taxes on all of these, and you will need to pay the federal and state taxes. There are 9 states in the USA that don't have tax filing requirements. These states include Alaska, Florida, Nevada, South Dakota, Texas, Washington, Wyoming, New Hampshire, and Tennessee. The state of New Hampshire and Tennessee only requires you to pay taxes on investment income, not earned income. The next question here, do F1 students pay taxes on OPT, that is optional practical training? Yes. If you earn income while you're on OPT in the USA, you would need to pay taxes. In addition to that, you would also need to fill a W-4 tax form with your new employer when you start work. The next question here is, do CPT, that is curricular practical training students, need to pay any type of tax on their income? Yes, students with an F1 visa need to pay taxes, especially federal taxes and state taxes depending on where you live or where you earn that income from during the calendar year. You would need to file these taxes as a non-resident alien. Sprintax forms can help you prepare the pre-employment tax document. You can use the link in the comment section. I pinned that link in the comment section, and that will give you a discount to file your taxes correctly as an international student. The next question here is, how can I determine my residency status while in the US on an F1 visa? In general, international students who are on F1 visa are considered non-resident alien for tax purposes within their first 5 calendar years in the USA. So after you've spent 5 years in the USA, then you can be considered a resident for tax purposes. Another question on my list is, do F1 students need an ITIN? So ITIN is Individual Taxpayer Identification Number. Some international students may need ITIN based on personal circumstances. However, you do not need an ITIN when filing your tax return if you have SSN, that is Social Security Number, or if you are eligible to have SSN, or if you are only required to file the Form 8843. Another question is, I earned no income in the US. Do I still have to file a tax return? Yes, even if you do not earn income in the previous calendar year, but you were present in the USA, even if it is just for a day, you would need to file the Form 8843 with the IRS before the tax filing deadline. The Form 8843 is not an income tax return. It is just a statement required by the US government for certain non-resident aliens who were in the USA in the previous calendar year on either F1 visa, J1 visa, F2 visa, or J2 visa for the purposes of substantial presence test. Next question is, can international students file taxes online? Yes, Sprintax supports e-filing of non-resident federal tax returns. You can learn more using the link in the comment section below. Another question here is, where do I send my tax return? The address you will need to send these forms to would depend on where you stayed during your visit. Generally, you'll be sending your tax return to the Department of the Treasury Internal Revenue Service in whichever state you were in. Another interesting question here is, what happens if I don't file a tax return while in the US on an F1 visa? If you're not able to file your federal income tax return by the deadline, you may be able to get an automatic 6-month extension. And to apply for additional time, you must file the form 4868. Okay, another question that sounds more like a worry is, I filed the wrong F1 tax return last year. What should I do? The IRS acknowledged that tax code is complex and that some people can make mistakes with their documents when filing their tax return. So, if you filed the wrong F1 tax return last year, you would need 3 documents to complete your amended tax return: a Form 1040X, your original tax return, and the new required documents. Once you complete the amended returns forms, you will need to mail it to the IRS with all required and supporting documents. Amended returns can only be filed on paper. You cannot do this online. You can prepare your amended tax return with Sprintax. All you have to do is use the link I'll pin in the comment section below to get started. Another question here is, can an F1 student claim a tax refund on their scholarship? An F1 student can be able to claim a tax refund on their scholarship if it is completely or partially covered by a tax treaty. An interesting question here, guys. I am an F1 student and married. Can I file a joint tax return? As a rule of thumb, those who are married on F1 student visa cannot jointly file for tax return. However, F1 students can file joint tax return if the spouse is a US citizen or resident. If the F1 visa holders are non-resident alien for tax purposes, the status on their tax return would be married filing separate. Next question here is, who can help me with my international student tax return? You can file your tax return yourself directly with the IRS. However, every year, F1 international students feel daunted by the process of filing tax return. As such, they enlist the help of a tax agent to help to file their tax return. But it is important to be careful when choosing who to assist you with your taxes. Another interesting question, can international students use TurboTax? Many F1 students choose to use TurboTax to manage their tax returns. However, TurboTax is a service for residents, and don't forget, you are a non-resident alien for tax purposes. So, if you use TurboTax to file your US tax return, you'll be filing as a resident. As such, your tax return will be inaccurate and you may be subject to fines and penalties, which is why you can use Sprintax, which is a non-resident tax partner of TurboTax. Another question here is, what tax return form should I file from transitioning from F1 to H1B visa? There is no special return that needs to be filed due to change of visa from the F1 to the H1B visa. If a person changed their visa from the F1 to H1B, they may still qualify as a non-resident alien for the tax purposes. The H1B visa is not an exempt visa. If the visa holder stays more than 183 days in the USA under this status, they will be considered as resident alien for tax purposes. As such, they will need to file the resident 1040 form for tax return. If you have more questions regarding filing your tax returns correctly as an international student in the USA, you can use the link I'll pin in the comment section of this video to reach out to the Sprintax team. They will be happy to help you and answer any questions you have. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on another episode of International Student Diary. Till then, guys, stay tuned. Peace.